Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunshine Coast Regional District Board. This is the regular board meeting, not the hospital board meeting, regular board meeting of Thursday, July 28th. We are starting a little late at 2:18 p.m., so thank you for your patience. And we are coming to you from the unceded territory of the Seashelt and Squamish Nations. So we have an amended agenda in front of us. Before we go forward, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Director McMahon?
Sorry, feeling a little disorganized here. I have 2 items of new business.
All right, and I don't see new business on this agenda, so let's add new business in here. Corporate Officer, where would we put new business typically in the order here?
Thank you, Chair. We would add it after director's reports. Or, before.
Before director's
Yep.
reports? Okay,
Yep.
so we'll add in new business before director's reports.
New
And
business,
Director
yes.
McMahon?
Right. One is NDAs, and the other one is the letter from Tyler Brown, Chair of Regional District of Nanaimo.
Chair of RDN. Okay, any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And we will move on to the regular board meeting minutes of July 14th. This is Annex A, pages 1 through 7. Are there any errors or omissions first off in these minutes? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes or unfinished business? And it would help if I could speak, right? Unfinished business. Seeing none, we'll move on to a delegation. We have 2 lovely people here with us today. We have Kathleen Coyne and we have Tatalis. Welcome, and you're going to speak to us on the CIA reconciliation movement. Over to you, ladies.
Thank you so much for welcoming us here. And I want to start by introducing our elder to tell us, Audrey Joe Santiago, who will join me, will speak to you after I do, mostly to underscore and to explain why the things that we talk about are important. I want to thank you for welcoming us and for your patience with us in between the June meeting and this meeting. There's been losses in families, there's been illness, there's been health appointments, and but fortunately, I'm just so grateful that Tatalis was able to join us here today. So what we're going to talk about is a reconciliation crosswalk, but I want to place it into the larger context of CEIA. So many of you have been involved with CEI work over the years and have been really active allies, and the contributions of all of the municipalities has been really important in our work and so gratifying. But the some of you would have seen this in your package, but overall, our vision is shared by so many people in the Seashelt Swaya that we're all paddling in the same direction around reconciliation, that we live as one with respect for each other, honoring shared history, and caring for the land that we share. And over the years, we've done a lot of different work, awareness building, ceremonies, projects, and this year we're starting to put that into a set of strategies and articulating who we are very clearly. So one project that we have been talking with to the various municipalities, as well as the business sector and other levels of government, is the intersection at the highway and the hospital. And here, what we want to do is honor the survivors and acknowledge the legacy of residential schools adjacent to where that, which is adjacent to where the former residential school was located. And we developed a plan, and like I say, we've been going out to so many people and getting so much support. So I'm going to tell you a bit about it, and then I think you've probably, hopefully read the letter to give you an update of where we are, because some of you have been involved with other municipalities where we've already spoken, and I wanted to give you an update on that. So essentially what we're doing is talking about a high quality crosswalk at that intersection. And the unveiling would be the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And later Audrey will say why that's important. But the project management is going to be with, I believe, Senko and the Ministry of Transport. The design has already taken place, and we've been thinking that the cost will be around 60,000, which was what we estimated, and that would include the installation as well as the event costs with the ceremony that would install it. So it would look something like this. And this is the design by VACA designers. And in our discussion with MOTI is that we would be looking at one across the highway and then one across the secondary road. So this is part of a larger project where we have this crosswalk, and then there is the unveiling of it and an honoring ceremony and feast. Along with that, over the course of through the winter, we will be developing or instituting, and we've already started what we call the Healing Regalia Project, where the 150 or 160 survivors of residential schools, their families are invited to create healing regalia for their family members. And they'll be taught then traditional skills, and through that create the regalia. Then these survivors will be stood up in ceremony, supported in healing work, and then go through a traditional sort of private ceremony, then another ceremony to support them in sharing their ancestral names that they will be given at that time. Then we will bring it all to the public with the public raising of the pole that we're working on right now. And that will include a community feast after the healing regalia. So I share all of that with you because when we originally submitted to you, as well as to the district and to the town of Gibsons, we were looking at raising, around 60,000, and we were going incrementally and sending out to business, to other levels of government, etc. And overwhelmingly, everyone has wanted to contribute. And then MOTI has just launched a foundation agreement with Seashelt Nation, and they said, well, we can make this the first implementation of this foundation agreement. So they're willing to pay for the capital costs of it, which then that means that those costs are met. There's still the costs associated with the ceremony, the unveiling. We are also in discussions, or beginning discussions, or reaching out to the hospital to see how the hospital wants to get involved. So essentially, everybody wants to get involved. But what's important, I think, to us is that we remember that there is the crosswalk, but we, as our elder Gary Festruck says, it's not about the project or the money. It's about survivors and this vision of how do we support survivors during this time when the GPR is currently underway, and the results will happen in the fall, when we're all witnessing the Pope coming to Canada to share an apology. So it's a really painful time for survivors. And between our elders, Gary, Valerie, and Audrey, they've given us guidance on all the pieces that need to happen. And so what we want to do is take it, even though we were raising funds originally for this crosswalk, we want to kind of place it into the broader context and invite you to participate in all of this. And in our preliminary discussions with MOTI, they're in agreement. They don't want to kind of barge in and take it over. It's an important community project. But we're hoping that as we talk about it more, that we can see all of these projects as projects that the whole community is involved in which the whole community gets honored and credited for all the work that we're doing. And I think that was witnessed by the support on Canada Day and throughout the CIA initiative. So essentially where we're at right now, and we really wanted to be upfront and have full disclosure on this, is that if we looked at all of the projects that we have remaining on our books, but that we have planned over the course of this year, our budget for those projects is $265,000, and we've raised 223. So I think that shows the tremendous support from the foundations locally. We've received from First Peoples Cultural Council, we've received from Vancouver Foundation, now Moti stepping up. We're hoping to get money from Canadian Heritage, but wanted also to have a place where all of the local governments can be involved. And so we're having those discussions now. Certainly have support from the town of Gibsons and the district of Seashelt. And now we're going back to say there's a kind of a shift. What do you think? So that's kind of where we're at. And I just want to turn it over now to Elder Tatalis to invite her to share why this is important. Tatalis, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Tisalo titalos alatsonaichen awasaikas. My family is the Joe family. My grandfather was the late Clarence Joe Sr. He was a big part of closing down the residential school in the 90s, and he also he played a big hand in donating the land to the hospital, the 10 acres, when they were discussing it with the chief and council. And it was my grandmother, Lena Joe, who insisted on having the hospital there because she didn't like the drives up to Pender Harbor. It was long. I've lived through a few pandemics, and I just got over COVID. My first one was I had TB when I was a little girl, and I was in the hospital for a long time. And it just seems like I always was the one who got sick. But I guess I'm a warrior, and I'm still here. So I heard that I still have work to do. So Valerie and I sat down and spoke today about. We spoke on the last gathering that we had last year by the statue, and that was about the graduation. And we said that, it wasn't fair that a lot of our First Nations people never got to graduate, and it was because of the poor excuse of not being educated the right way that we should have been. Instead of being educated, we were being persecuted. So Gail Thurber, who owns Dublin Funeral Homes, reached out to us and said, I'm going to make it happen. So it's been so, it was going to happen, and then it's not happening, and we don't know why it was stopped. This is just a request from elders who want it before they actually pass away. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the importance of our regalia. I sent Kathleen a picture of my brother's regalia. This is the regalia I made for him. It's all red cedar. And if you see the buttons, they're all abalones. And then these are ermine tails underneath them. And you could see the top part of it is darker than the bottom part. And that's because I had to pound it with a rock. And we usually use rocks or bones to pound them. And then we wet them, and then we add bear grease to it to soften it up, because when you're a speaker in our family, you have to walk with grace. And that was the reason why this is my younger brother, Randy Joe. And I made his hat, I made his top vest, I made his shawl, I made his hip skirt, and then I made his leggings. And this doesn't take 2 days or a week or anything like it. It takes months. And, you know, like when they talk about regalia for our people, it's not going to be overnight. It's going to be a process. And that process always starts in the spring when you have to go in the bush and strip the trees. And then you start cleaning it. And then there's so much going into it. It isn't funny. It's, you know, you can put bells on it. You can put shells on it and anything. But Randy's, I made his with white, blue, and black. The blue signifies the waters that we live between, and the white signifies first contact with, like Randy and I were little, I think I was 5 years old when they first came up to Deserted Bay where we lived, and Tyee Airways was running then, and a priest and RCMP officer came up and they said, Clarence, it's time for your grandchildren to go to residential school. So that was first contact. And then we went to residential school, and the black you see on the regalia signifies all the pain we went through. So it was body, mind, and spirit, you know, like everything we've gone through in our life. And the 10 plus years for some of us, you know, is really, really hard. So the black signifies the darkness that we were in. So, you know, like that is why we do regalia. And if you see, some people have different colors on theirs, and that there's a story to it all the time. And these stories are always carried through these regalias. So Randy is my prime model. I still have a few more to go to and finish. And, you know, like it's important for our people to stand up and be proud of who they are and where they came from. It's important that they speak up, and you have a speaker in your family that stands up like Gary does with his family. And it's important that we carry these stories on for each and every band member. Every band member has a story. And so when the residential school was on, they made all our people burn all our regalia and our masks and everything. One mask was saved, though, out of the whole thing. It came from our family, and it was a Hoi mask. And the mask went to Duncan. And so family's been trying to go over there and take it, but it's so alive that it jumps if you're the right person. That's how powerful our people were. And so Kalpoka was my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. And he was the strongest medicine man on the whole coast. And he talked about that mask. And so our family keeps going there and say, it picks who needs to take it. And it has to be Seashelt, it has to be Joe Blood, because it came from our family. So these are stories that carry on in our families that we carry. And it's really important for us to get back to our traditional ways rather than to just buy the made in China stuff, you know. But it's just really important. And I really thank you for listening to my story today. And I look forward to hearing to you guys in the future. Thank you. Oh, no.
Thank you, Audrey. And I just want to close by just noting that the story underscores another way to think about it. You know, on one hand, we can talk about a crosswalk, but what Audrey's talking about is an intersection of two cultures, and a willingness on the part of all of us to create a way of walking together. And so the crosswalk, that intersection is symbolically really important, but it's also the other pieces of the work that we're doing together with the Seashell Nation and the people of the Seashell Swaya. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions? Director McMahon.
I do have a comment. I mean, this is a wonderful project, and thank you for all of the work that you're doing on this. I'm amazed that you got Modi to come to the table to do anything at all. It's a small miracle. So I would suggest you, A, get it in writing from them, and B, get them to commit to maintain it going forward, because it's a very high traffic area, and there's going to be wear and tear, and if you can get them permanently committed to maintaining it, that would be awesome.
Thank you. Can I comment, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So really good point. And so those discussions will be between the Seashell, I think it's the land department, Stephen Peschuk and Moti. And I was in a meeting with them, and the answer to both was yes. They're committed, and they are committed to the maintenance as well.
That's good. Good job. Any other questions or comments? Director Pratt.
Once again, and not a question, just a comment on, I just thrilled when I heard about this project as well. It's fantastic. I think it's a good symbol of the CIM movement, and I'm excited to see it move forward. I'm glad it's in such a visible area, because we need to we need to stop brushing stuff under the carpet. We need to be brave and bold and be able to talk about these things, because the more we talk about it, the more we can understand one another and move forward together. So thank you so much, and just so appreciative of all the work that the CIM movement is doing and working together.
Thank you. Okay, so before I go to directors for any kind of direction on this, I'd like a motion to receive all the reports, the delegation materials. We have no communication. So reports and delegation materials. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. So then there is a request to the regional district directors. So this, I presume, would be electoral area directors. Is there anything you would like to direct staff at this point, or how would you like to move this forward? Because there is a funding request in here. Director McMahon?
Perhaps we could refer it to staff for a way that we could fund this request, to come back to us with some options.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the request or for the recommendation? Seconded? All right. Directors, anything else? Any further comments or questions on the recommendation on the floor? All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Leonard, Director Lee, go ahead. Sorry. I was too quick for you.
I was just wondering if Tina maybe had some idea of where we might have money in our existing budget that we could do this with regional districts, or is she going to need time to go away and come back with a recommendation?
I think that's what we're requesting, that they come back. Given that the funding is not required for the crosswalk, so initially the funding was required for the crosswalk to actually have that in place for September. That has been covered off now. So this doesn't have to be a decision made today, so we can actually give staff some time to see what our options are and have them come back with some recommendations in September. That will still be sufficient.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Director Pratt?
And just for Kathleen and Audrey's benefit, because of the way regional district funding works, it's so siloed in where it is. We need to make sure that the project is being funded by the right area, or by the right pockets of money, I guess, is probably the best way to describe it. So it's a little bit different than municipal funding, where you can juggle juggle it a little bit more, whereas regional district, it's very prescriptive, so it'll take a little bit to figure out how to do it, but I think we all agree that's very valuable work that's being done.
Thank you. All right, so let's call for the vote on the motion. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presentation. We look forward to the projects moving forward.
Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so moving on to reports. We have Committee of the Whole recommendations numbers 1 through 7 of July 14th. And I have a number of, to make sure I go to the right place here.
There's one that we're pulling out, right?
Sorry?
Is it the one that we're pulling out?
That's the next one.
Next one.
So hang on, let me get to I've got 2 agendas open here, so let's go to the right one. Okay, so this is Annex C, pages 26 through 28, recommendations 1 through 7. So directors, are there any of these recommendations you'd like pulled for separate consideration first? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt the recommendations as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Item number 5, Annex D, staff have requested that we refer this back to staff. These are the minutes of the inaugural Board Policy Review Committee, and there are a couple of minor adjustments that need to be made, and given it's not time sensitive. Yep, Corporate Officer?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I would just recommend that we pull recommendation number 3 for a housekeeping amendment.
So you'd like us to move forward with the rest of them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have the recommendations in front of us, and I think most of the directors were at that meeting. So what staff are indicating is they'd like us to consider recommendations 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Are there any of those that the board would like to pull for separate consideration? Oh, seeing none, I'd look for a motion. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Corporate Officer.
Thank you,
Moving-
Chair.
Moving on to item 6, Annex E. Sorry? Yeah,
Could I propose a correction to recommendation number 3 for the board to consider?
sure.
Okay. We did note that the director remuneration review policy was inadvertently omitted from the minutes, and we do believe that the board did, or the committee did move to recommend reaffirming that particular policy. So we would ask that the board consider adding that policy to recommendation number 3 and consider it for adoption as amended.
Thank you. Director McMahon?
I'll move that.
All right, is there a second? And that's been seconded. All right, so the recommendation is that we add the policy on board remuneration, is that correct? To recommendation number 3. That's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Corporate Officer. We're good with those then? All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 6. This is Annex E, pages 34 through 37. This is Electoral Area Services Committee recommendations 1 through 11 of July 21st, 2022. Are there any recommendations that directors would like pulled for separate consideration? Not seeing any, I'd look for a motion to adopt as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Moving on to number 7, Annex F, pages 38 and 39. These are the inaugural Finance Committee recommendations 1 through 5 of July 21st, 2022. Any recommendations that directors would like pulled? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Then, here is part of our amendment. We are adding the Special Committee of the Whole recommendations numbers 1 through 6 of July 26th, so that's 2 days ago. That's pages 39A through C. Are there any of these recommendations that directors would like pulled for separate consideration? All right, seeing none, I would look for a motion to adopt as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And then we have item 7B. This was referred over from this morning. This is Area A Food Waste Drop-Off and Processing Program Update. We had an overview this morning. Directors, any questions or comments on this report? Director Pratt.
Thank you. When we had the original first proposal for the Area A food waste drop-off and processing program, there was a limit set per drop-off of 50 liters or proposed is that still in effect or still taken into account? Or will there be a limit for what an individual can drop off at one time?
Thank you for the question. The program is still intended for residents and small businesses. So yes, that will be in place.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Director Lee?
Just like, I read the report, and I think I have it right, but I'd just like to check. We originally thought that there would be people that would be interested in collecting the stuff and processing it locally on their property, but it appears like they backed out. Do I have that right?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Earlier this year, we did what's called a request for of expression of interest, and there were two parties that indicated that they were interested in processing the food waste in Pender Harbor itself, but they ultimately indeed did not put an offer, put a proposal in response to the tender.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the report? Seeing none, there are some recommendations on 39D, and I would suggest we probably take off the last and that, and further that, because we are actually at the July 28th board meeting, so we don't need to forward it to the July 28th board meeting.
Little redundant, isn't it?
Yes, yes, and I understand where it came from. All
Yeah.
right.
Director
Director Pratt?
Yeah, I'd like to move those recommendations on page 117A. Is that right? No,
39D.
39D now.
Yes, yes, it's changed.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I was still looking at my
That's
agenda
fine.
package from this morning.
I
So
know,
from
I have-
39D for
I
the
have
board.
both of them here as well. All right, so those recommendations are moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Remco. Moving on to number 8, training structure, Roberts Creek Volunteer Fire Department. This is the fire chief, and I think he is in with us. He is. This is Annex G, pages 40 through 41. And we'll turn it over to you, Chief Higgins.
Thank you, Chair. Staff are seeking the budget amendment for the training structure project, and it's to respond to escalations, not only in market prices, but enhanced engineering. So this component of the project, which pending a decision on the budget, can be completed this fall. And as noted in the report, a contingency is included, so the entire budget might not be required, and any surplus will be returned to operating reserves.
Thank you. Directors, any questions or comments? Director Tai?
Yeah, no, just happy to move the recommendations as presented on page 40.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded? All right. All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Item number 9, Annex H, pages 42 and 43. This is Community Emergency Preparedness Fund grant receipt approval. And Chief Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Chair Seegers. It is my absolute the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund grant receipt report, but also Emergency Management Coordinator Nancy Hughes to the board. The SCRD was successful grant through UBCM modernization, mainly associated with communications, emergency radio. And both Nancy and I are available for any questions.
Thank you. I don't actually see her in, oh, there she is. There she is, all right. Do you want to show yourself to us?
I'm sorry, I thought oh, there we are. New person to the meeting, hello.
Hello, welcome. All right, directors, any questions or comments? Director Ties, your microphone is on.
Oops, sorry.
Any questions or comments on the report in front of us? All right, this is excellent news. Thank you very much. Thank you for the work you're doing on that. Directors, would anyone like to make a recommendation? Director Pratt?
I will move the recommendations on page 42 of the agenda.
Is there a seconder? Lots of seconders. All right, all those in favor? Thank you very much. All right, moving on. We are moving on to the CAO monthly report. Mr. McKinley.
Thanks very much, Chair. I was thinking this morning about my verbal monthly report. Not the least things I was thinking was, once again, it's a verbal monthly report and it speaks to the month that we've had. But I was thinking of one of my favorite old Blue Rodeo albums, which is called 5 Days in May, released way back in 1993. And the reason I was thinking of it was yesterday at a senior leadership team workshop, as we went through all of the project development forms that have been developed by managers and staff and submitted for general manager and SLT review, which was yesterday. GM Ian Hall brought up at the beginning of the meeting that perhaps it would be of use to take a moment to recognize that last August we had 3 meetings in the month that we have no meetings. 2 emergency meetings and 1 special meeting. And he thought maybe this would be a good time to just take one step back and recognize all of the effort that has led to us not having a meeting in August. And all of us at the senior leadership team, as soon as he said it, said, Ian, no, why are you saying this? Oh my God, you're going to jinx it. Stop it, please. But it stayed with me because those 5 days in May that Blue Rodeo released in 1993, I'm going to take you to 6 days in July, the last 6 days, including this one, the last 6 business days. The senior leadership team met yesterday to go through some 120 project development forms that were worked on by a huge number of staff, supported by Lori, who had to enter them into a spreadsheet she'd never seen until Friday afternoon, all while getting ready for all these meetings. And that was a huge pile of work. The amount of work that went into the inaugural Policy Review Committee meeting that was just held 6 days ago, July 20th. 88 policies were reviewed by Directors Lee, Toth, Hiltz, Pratt, and McMahon, supported by Sherry and Christine. It was a ton of work within the last 6 business days. We had the inaugural Finance Review Committee. In the last 6 business days, we've had 7 committee meetings. 7 committee meetings, over 50 agenda items, and as you guys know, over 1,700 pages to review in the last 6 business days, all supported tirelessly and amazingly by Autumn, Tara, Christine, Jennifer, and Lori. It was a tremendous amount of work, and we did it. And I want to take one moment in tribute to Ian Hall to recognize that unlike last August, we have no meetings this year in August, and it's a tribute to all of you, and I just wanted to say thank you. That's my update.
No wonder we've been spending the hours and hours and hours reading. Thank you. Yes, thank you to staff. I know it's been, 2 weeks ago, I think we got the request for the additional meeting on the 26th, and we recognize that the work that staff were putting in to deal with all of the items that need to be moved forward and giving us all the time off in August. So thank you. Thank you to staff. Thank you for the directors for the hours you put in reading all these agendas. It's really appreciated. Not always that the case with boards and councils, that all of the directors, council members come to meetings having read all the material and prepped that all. So I have to say this has been an exceptional board to work with, because we know that all the directors are going to come having read all the material. So staff put it together, and they know, I think, that we do our part on, weekends and evenings, et cetera, to make sure we come prepared to move these items forward. So it's appreciated all around. Thank you. Moving on to bylaws. Now, I notice on the agenda, it says amended, this is Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw number 722, 2019, but it says amended. So I think we should probably have staff speak to what is amended in this prior to us considering a second reading. And who wants to speak to that? Do we have someone here to speak to that? Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Chair. I can speak to the bylaw. Staff have proceeded to make the change respecting the direction received from the committee about rabbits and poultry. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to find Jennifer.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The reason it says amended is you'll see right after that it said receipt of staff report. Originally, it looked like there may have been an accompanying report, but there's not. So that was just to let you know that there wasn't one attached.
Thank you. All right, directors, any comments or questions before we move to consideration of second reading? All right, I'm going to direct you to page 190 in your agenda. This will be in your original agenda. I actually had to have ask staff where to find this, because I went through the zoning bylaw a few times and I couldn't find it. So page 190. And are we doing the repealing as well today, or is the repealing happening once the new bylaw is adopted?
Are you referring to repeal of 310?
Yes.
Oh, we will not be repealing 310 until this bylaw is adopted.
Okay. At the top of the page, on page 190, it says Part 15, repeal Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw 310, 1989. So we will not be doing that today.
That will come into effect as soon as it's adopted.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
Do we have a potential date for the public hearing yet?
Staff?
Thank you for the question, and no, not confirmed yet. Staff are mapping that out, including understanding availability of our chair and alternate chair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if we're on page 190, we have the zoning bylaw number 722, 2019 before us for second reading. Would someone like to move second reading? And this is electoral area directors, 1 vote each. So moved by Director McMahon, seconded by Director Pratt. All those in favor? Thank you. That is second reading. Moving on to item number 12, Sunshine Coast Regional District Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw number 735-2021. And I have to get to that page first. This is Annex J. All right, there is a report here, so we will turn it over to Ms. Perot, General Manager, and our Corporate Officer as well.
Thank you, Chair. So this particular report is in front of you as our financial plan has been amended on numerous occasions since the financial plan bylaw was adopted. And so we are beginning a practice to formally amend the bylaw twice a year. So once at the end of July, and likely you'll see again an amendment to formalize the financial plan up until the end of, or up to our last board meeting in December. The reason why we do this is based on legislative requirements. And so although there are recommendations that are put forward from the board to formally amend the financial plan, the last step in the process is to actually amend the bylaw. So this is to add some transparency and accountability to the public, but also note that in reporting in our financial statements and what's audited is not what our amended budget has been adopted, but it is the formalized original financial plan adoption. So again, that's why we're adding these additional steps, so it's very clear what has transpired with our bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you. So directors, attachment A on pages 339, 40, and 41 are the items that are being reflected in the amendments. Are there any questions on any of those? All right, seeing none, there are some recommendations on page 337. And Director Pratt?
I'll move the recommendations on page 337.
Thank you. Seconded? All right. All those in favor? Thank you. So we'll actually move to the bylaw. This is on page 342. This is Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 735-1, a bylaw to amend the financial plan for the years 2022 to 2026. This is here before us for first, second, third reading and adoption. Voting all directors, weighted vote, A2, B2, D2, E2, F2, Seashelt 6, Gibsons 3, SIGD 1. Quick, run out. We're hearing an ice cream truck outside. All right, so this is before us for first reading. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 735-1, a bylaw to amend the financial plan for the years 2022 to 2026. And look for someone to move first reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Then Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 735-1, a bylaw to amend the financial plan for the years 2022 to 2026. And someone move second reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 735-1, a bylaw to amend the financial plan for the years 2022 to 2026. And someone move third reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 735-1, a bylaw to amend the financial plan for the years 2022 to 2026. And someone to move adoption. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Then we are on to new business. And we have two items, NDAs. Director McMahon.
Yes. I shared a link with directors to a July 23rd CBC article on the increasingly prevalent and inappropriate use of non-disclosure agreements in the public sector. Prince Edward Island has brought in legislation to limit the use of NDAs, and according to the article, BC's Attorney General is also looking at that prospect. There is a campaign underway across Canada to restrict the use of NDAs. Julie McFarlane, law professor at the University of Windsor, wants to make sure that these agreements are only used for their original purpose to protect trade secrets from competitors in the business world. So I feel very strongly that NDAs are in direct conflict with local government's responsibility to be transparent and accountable. And so my motion, if the board will entertain it, is that staff report back to the board on the SCRD's policies and practices around the use of non-disclosure agreements i.e. how often and under what circumstances do we sign them or require staff to sign them. And I have deliberately not put a timeline on this because I do understand that staff are very busy and this is not as critically urgent as a whole lot of other things that we are looking at right now.
All right, before we put this up for discussion, is there anybody who'd like to second the recommendation that's been put forward? Seconded, thank you. And Director Beamish? And you'll need, unmute.
I appreciate Director McMahon bringing this forward because I too agree that we are an order of government and that we are at least municipally governed by the community charter. And in that, we have a responsibility for keeping matters confidential that are being provided to us in confidence under in-camera meetings, and that we shouldn't be asked by another order of government to go one step further. It should not be required. The legislation that we are bound by should be respected, as should our own personal integrity to respond to that legislation. It's no different. I mean, just because there's an NDA doesn't mean that nobody's going to go to the room and say something. But I think that we have more authority actually relative to the community charter for somebody leaving a room and speaking up, because we can actually bring action against that. And it wouldn't be under an NDA, in my view. There'd be a third party bringing it against a member of our council or a member of the board in terms of allegedly violating another agreement. And I just don't think that's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation on the floor? Any opposed? Or would you like that recorded? Director Lee, Director Pratt? Would you like that recorded?
It's not necessary.
Thank you. Okay, so that did pass. I believe, no, hang on, let's try this again. No, actually, it was 4-3. It was, Director Ties, you voted in favor. Director McMahon, myself, and Director Beamish were in favor. So it was 4-3, so it passed. All right, next item on the agenda, a letter from Tyler Brown, Chair of the Nanaimo, Regional District of Nanaimo. Yeah, and Director McMahon?
I'm just bringing this up to bring attention to a motion that is going forward to UBCM. As most of the people here will know, the legislation surrounding regional districts has not been significantly amended since the regional districts were formed in 1965. We are trying to navigate the storms of the 21st century in a boat that is older than a BC ferry. So we need a lot of help. There was a move by the government to amend the legislation about 20 years ago. That stalled, and so it has left us really combating very antiquated legislation. So the Regional District of Nanaimo has brought a resolution to AVICC, which is going forward to UBCM, asking the province to further a legislative reform initiative for the purpose of comprehensively reviewing and modernizing the Local Government Act. And I just wanted to say that I, for one, am actively and enthusiastically in favor of this. I hope that all of the regional districts will support this very strongly at UBCM. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, directors? Seeing none, we will move on to directors' reports. And maybe we'll start to my left here with Director Ties and work our way around the table. And then we will go to Director Beamish. So Director Ties.
Thank you, Chair. Not a lot to report. It's been pretty quiet in the creek. The Regional Hospital District meeting today did ring somewhat closer to home to me as I'm starting to look for my father for a place, and I know there's wait lists everywhere. So, so yeah, there's certainly some urgency there. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McMahon.
Right. I actually liked our CAO report because I was feeling like I'd seen a lot of all of you a lot lately, and it's true. So let's hope we don't see much of each other in August, except perhaps socially. On July 20th, I wanted to thank our MP, Patrick Weiler, and the Wood Creek Park Neighborhood Association for coming out for an announcement of grant funding for their sewer plant. And also thanks to Sandra Cunningham for organizing the refreshments, and to directors Pratt and Seegers for coming along as well. And our CAO, I beg your pardon, he came too. And that's right, Director Hiltz came too. It's just you didn't get into the photo. You should have jammed into the photo there. On Sunday, July the 24th, I attended a campaign school in Vancouver with hopefuls running for office for a lot of different municipalities, mostly in Metro Vancouver. It was a great networking opportunity. I got to meet Don Bell, who was mayor of my hometown, the District of North Vancouver, from 1976 to 1982. I actually attended, they had an all-candidates meeting at my high school that year for the campaign, and that was awesome. And I think for a lot of students, it was their very first exposure to the fact that there is such a thing as local government. And so I hope that, you know, it's possible to organize some events like that, especially given the interest in lowering the voting age to 16. When I came back, I was able to catch the last hour of the Elphinstone Community Association picnic at Chester House, which was very well attended, and the weather could not have been better. I'd also want to thank Faye Kiewitz, who has taken over the Elphinstone Chronicles column in the Coast Reporter from Gail Nielsen. And I'll just close by saying that I will be running for election on October the 15th. I have been incredibly fortunate this term to be part of an outstanding team, both elected and staff, and I've really enjoyed the kind support of many of the residents in my area. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Good luck in the upcoming election. Director Lee.
Boy, Donna's been busy. Has it only really been 2 weeks and you got all that in there? Wow. I just got a few community things to say. I've been working with the committee on the Show and Shine up in the Legion. They're going to have it on August 7th. You guys should come up if you get a chance. It's a smaller event, but it's you can take the time and talk to all the people with their cars. It's kind of neat. And there will be hamburgers at the Legion. You got to pay for them, though. Then also this, on Saturday the 30th, the pipers, the bagpiper guys, are going to be going around the harbor serenading everybody, starting at 6:30 at Madeira. So depending on where you want to go listen, you could listen 6:30 at Madeira, or you could listen around 7 or so at Irvin's, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's in lieu of the No Pender Harbor Days. We didn't get our act together to get the Pender Harbor Days, but they're going to do the pipers anyway. So those are the two things. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Pratt.
Thank you. And it was great to attend the Wood Creek Park announcement. It was nice, you know, it's always nice to see a sewage facility getting wastewater treatment facility getting funding, and it was always great to see our MP and
Getting the love it deserves.
getting the love it deserves, really. So just a few, once again, it'll just be a few community events because I think all of my time has been spent here. But the Half Moon Bay Community Association had their fair on July 17th at Cooper's Green, and it was very well attended. I unfortunately had to miss it due to a previous engagement, but I understand it went really, really well, and they estimated like close to 1,000 people through, I think is what they said. It was just incredible how many people they did it from 12 to 8 and just in and out with busing and everything. So it went really, really well. And then the Half Moon Bay Community Association, starting tomorrow, has 3 events over the summer that they're calling Lazy Days. And it's going to be music days down at Cooper's Green Park. It's they're 19 plus events because there will be alcohol served. So and they have bands playing from 4 till 8 in the park. Ticket sales start at 3 p.m. Tickets are only $10 per person, unless you're a Half Moon Bay Community Association member. And then the tickets are free, and then you can get into all 3 Lazy Day events for free. So tickets for a $20 household membership would get you into all 3 events for free. So just a plug there for the Half Moon Bay Community Association, because they've really worked hard with a lot of events this year, and they're really a great community partner for the regional district. So the first one's tomorrow on July 29th. Once again, tickets start at 3 o'clock. Music goes from 4 till 8. They've got, for tomorrow, Them Ordinary Things, a 4-piece acoustic band, and then Jim Foster and Bellows and Strings. So that's going to be really fun. So if you want to find out more information, halfmoon-bay.ca. And the other days are August 12th and August 26th. So great way to spend your Sunday, or your Friday afternoons. And then the Half Moon Bay Environmental Society will be having their annual general meeting on August the 18th from 7 to 9 p.m. via Zoom. Their guest speaker is Ran Rudland, a great Half Moon Bay community member. And then I will be speaking as well with an update on all things FCRD. So if anybody wants to attend, just let me know. I will send you the Zoom link when it comes out. And other than that, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Director Hiltz.
Thanks, Chair. I'm going to echo Director McMahon's comment about our CAO. Thank you for telling me why I'm tired and my eyes are tired. So I thought it was just me and the weather, but now I understand. And so, yeah, thanks for all the work so we can all have some time off in August, and people are getting time off, and that's great to hear staff getting some time off and away from the place. So thanks for that. Yeah, and Director McMahon, walking through Whispering Firs, I took a trail that I'd never been on before, a chance to chat with some residents. So there is a lot of debris in Wood Creek Park in terms of, I was looking at it from a fire smart. There's a lot of debris in that park. So yeah, it's interesting to see with different eyes, going to different places. A reminder that the Highway 101 engagement was supposed to end today. It's extended. As we know, it's been now August 31st, which I didn't know. So you got more time to put stuff in. Constituency stuff. The next wrinkle I heard was parking around fire hydrants on rural roads. So if you want to dig into kind of who does what, that's an interesting one to follow up on. Fire hydrants on rural roads, the parking requirements around them, particularly around as summer parking becomes more of an interest. There's something to dive into if you want to find out stuff about. And finally, it's my pleasure to introduce the one and only term West Howe Sound newsletter. And in that, I also am declaring that I am not seeking re-election in the upcoming election. So I think that's now, we've all put our things in place. So there's a few printed copies still. If you haven't got one, you can let me know. But they were delivered Canada Post yesterday. So even Area E's probably going to get a few, I have a feeling. But
I got mine by hand.
You got lucky you. So that's it for me. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Director Beamish.
Nice.
Yes, thank you. Gibson's also has held its final council meeting for the summer period on Tuesday night. Big gain for us there was the passing of our new residential accommodation bylaw, the short-term rental replacement. That has been passed, and we're letting it kind of sit there now with no enforcement until January to give people time to adjust and get through the season of bookings that they've had. But a lot of support from the community for that bylaw, and And it was obviously from the lack of people that came out post the public hearing. We had no comment from people post public hearing. It's just moved forward, and we really appreciate that. Music in the Landing tomorrow night again. Sorry, not night market tomorrow night at the public market. This is before each of the long weekends, and final one will be at the end of before the Labor Day long weekend. But it'll be tomorrow night, the night market. Music in the Landing, Saturday and Sunday. And we're enjoying the heat here as much as everybody else, and I sure hope everybody's staying cool and taking advantage of the cooling centers that are available in the town. So everybody have a good summer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to mention a few things. I was invited to attend the Jackson Memorial Potlatch. That was on Saturday the 23rd. And there was a dance group that was that attended and performed. They are from Chilliwack and Squamish. Fabulous. No videotaping, no pictures, etc. It was fabulous. There were two main items that happened there. One was the not awarding, I don't remember the right word, but giving of the names. There were 17 names given in the Jackson family to various family members. And then there were 7 people who were memorialized. So 7 people over the last while. And one of the things that I heard was that depending on the nation, the procedures are a little different. For some, they have to wait a year after the person has passed before they can actually have a memorial. But for some, depending on their status within the nation, could be up to 4 years before they can actually have the memorial for the person. So it was very well attended, fabulous meal. They started with a meal and then they went through the ceremonies. It was an honor to be there. What else? I've been meeting with local residents who have indicated they may be interested in running for Seashelt Council. So it's really good to see interest out there. And I know I'm not the only one they're meeting with. They're meeting with other councillors. Some are reaching out to councillors in Gibsons. They want to talk to somebody from a different jurisdiction. So hopefully we'll have a full slate running coming up. What else can I talk about here? I'll look at the district of Seashelt. If I go back to talking about the election piece, nomination packages for both positions, mayor and council, will be available for pickup on Tuesday. They're just putting the final pieces together right now. So Tuesday they're available. When you go in to pick up a package, you'll be asked for your name and contact information. And that's so that if there's any information that goes out during the campaign, it goes to all those who picked up a package and put their name in. So they want to make sure they can get a hold of you and get you the information so that everybody's on an even playing field. With regards to the District of Seashelt, we gave second reading to our zoning bylaw, and the public hearing is set for September 8th. We gave 3 readings to a sanitary sewer local area service establishment. So the development that's going in around Havies and Nestman Road, that's 99 single-family houses. They're actually looking at putting in a sewer line from there to the water resource center, to the wastewater treatment plant. But in order to do that, we have to set up a sewer service area because there isn't one for that area, so that they can actually charge the properties for the provision of sewer. Our council remuneration bylaw was adopted, and that'll come into effect January of next year. It has raised the income salary for both council and mayor. So go to that report and see what's there. We are rescheduling our October 5th regular council meeting because that's one of the required advanced voting days. So it's actually going to be on the Thursday night because we don't have regional district meetings on Thursday. So Thursday night we're going to have a council meeting. We appointed our deputy corporate officer. That was the old EA that worked with me, and she's now stepped into the position as a deputy corporate officer. She will also be the deputy returning officer in the upcoming election. We were presented with a subdivision or a rezoning application for Shoal Way, which is up by the arena. And we were requested to give permission to proceed. So it is a number of townhouses with a few rentals in there, more family-oriented, nice layout. Council gave permission to proceed. So that both staff and the developer will go away and do some work on that and bring it forward. Downtown Seashelt High Point Apartments. So it's on trail. Beside the senior center, there are some townhouses. There's always been a piece of property in the back of this development that was not developed at the time. There's a proposal that's come forward to put an apartment building in there. We've set out our budget process for next year. I think that's pretty much it. Let me look at the engineering report just to see if there's any updates on that one. Operations center's moving forward. The lighting, there's going to be a progress meeting for this last week. Wharf Avenue sidewalk improvements are pretty much complete except for the trees, which won't go in until this fall. Stickett Park washroom, we're waiting for the site alteration permit with regards to the archaeological, and then we'll put in the washroom. It's one of those stainless steel ones. So lights go on when you close the door, lights go off when you lock, when you move out. But it's a public washroom. It'll be going down. Right now there's one of those porta potties there. This is going to be a permanent washroom. RV standing station is moving forward with the operations building. And we had a grant announcement as well. We received $717,000, I believe it was, for Inlet Avenue road improvements. So that's where the post office is, the street the post office is on. One side has a sidewalk, the other doesn't. That's also the side where TELUS is putting their TELUS Living building. That will have a sidewalk and everything put up in there. So those are updates from the District of Seashelt. We have a final council meeting next week, Wednesday, and then we're off for the month of August. So, Director McMahon.
Yes, just a question. You mentioned that the packages for candidates are going to be available soon from Seashelt. I'm just wondering when those packages will be available for the SCRD.
We're looking at making those available next week. And we're also looking at scheduling a candidate information session on August 10th. Details to come forward.
Okay, so when you say next week, like towards the end of next week, or do we know any, I mean, we don't want to necessarily have people come in on Tuesday to pick them up if they're not going to be ready on Tuesday.
I'm going to say midweek, Wednesday.
Thank you. Yeah, Director McMahon?
Are those strictly paper, or can you download them?
They will be available in hard copy as well as electronic copy. But electronic copies will need to be requested, similar to District of Seashelt. We also will take names of the candidates that come in to pick up packages.
Thank you. Any other items before we move in camera? All right, seeing none, there is a recommendation that we go in camera and that the public be excluded from the attendance at the meeting in accordance with Section 91A, F, I, and K of the Community Charter. Would someone like to make that recommendation? Moved, seconded, all in favor? And Director Lee, did you want your alternate to be in attendance?
Yes.
Use your microphone, please.
I'd like to make a motion that my alternate be permitted to attend the in-camera.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. All right. Is there anybody else? No questions? Nobody in the gallery? No questions? Thank you. Do we have any other staff joining us or any staff leaving us before we actually go into in camera? I think we will have some staff leaving us.
Yeah, they're
Welcome back to the Sunshine Coast Regional District Board meeting of July 28th. And I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. All right.
Mouth was like wide open yawning as we were coming.
See you all.
I was tired.
I know.